Unbelievable. Again, the internet. It's just unbelievable.
What?
The internet.
Why?
Like you've never, how many cookies?
Gentlemen, good morning. Good morning. And first off, can you hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, first off, I just want to say happy birthday, Matt.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. I happened to see that on your Facebook profile and, want to make sure and tell you happy birthday.
Thank you.
And welcome, Dr. Ashton Embry. It's an honor to have you both on my show this morning. And
Thank you for joining us.
yeah, I just want to verify or clarify for myself and the listeners. You're in Calgary, correct?
Yep.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, and as a matter of fact, I had seen trailers and promos, or maybe one or two, a few, whatever, of your documentary, Living Proof, about your journey and the research into multiple sclerosis and the treatment of it. And yesterday morning, I was blown away because I watched the movie on Amazon Prime, and that was just, wow, it was amazing. And it's like I've been following you on Facebook about the multiple sclerosis and treating it. And I just wanted to have you on my show, just to help share with, maybe we'll all learn something, and, hopefully my listeners too. So, welcome to Positive Vibes.
Well, great. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah. And it's like I was I was just wondering if you could give us a little backstory on, up until the point where you got MS. How was life up until then? Was it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like, if you've seen the movie or much of the content we put out, I mean, when illness comes, you never really suspect that it's going to hit you. And I think that, especially when you're a young man, I lived a relatively normal life with a lot of sports and a relatively normal childhood. And all of a sudden, you start getting some pretty serious symptoms. And before you know it, you get a diagnosis that starts to change the course of your life.
Yeah, definitely. I totally relate with that one. Raised BMX and into being very highly active, and then as a kid, and then all of a sudden, when I was like 20, actually, I don't know, 32, I think it was, my MS, symptoms came up as a result of a car accident. And, that's when the symptoms came on and started dealing with that. And I was, immediately went on treatment and the pharmaceuticals, and they, I was just dealing with side effects and all that, and life changed. It's like, okay, do I deal with this or go without and see how it goes? And it's just like life definitely changed when I was diagnosed with MS. That's for sure. And from watching your movie and your content, it's pretty much, we're right along the same there. Oh yeah, and one thing I forgot to point out when I told you happy birthday was that my birthday is actually in 3 days on the 8th.
All right.
And we're like a year and 3 days apart.
All right.
Wow.
But it's just let's see. Okay, and for the listeners, since I already know, at what age did you first experience symptoms of and get diagnosed with multiple sclerosis?
Yeah, I was age 19 when I had the first really objective symptoms, and then diagnosed within, I guess, a month.
Yeah, just after the MRI.
Oh geez, that went quick. It was like 6 or 9 months between the onset of my symptoms until I was diagnosed for sure. Took a little while, but hey, it took what it took. Yeah, I guess I'll just get into it. What was the, well, actually, have you ever taken pharmaceuticals for your MS? And if so, how was that experience?
Yeah, the amount of pharmaceuticals that I used was pretty limited. I think it was one course of steroids after the first attack, and that lasted what, 3 weeks?
About 3 weeks, yeah.
About 3 weeks, and that was, for me, it wasn't a great experience. I mean, I definitely did not enjoy that process. But after that, I've been MS drug free since that point.
Yeah,
Now it's over 25 years now of a drug-free approach.
nice. And I've read in your posts and we're talking about the movie, read stuff about the movie, and I'm just wondering, are you still like 100% symptom free?
Yeah, I'm 100% symptom-free today.
Awesome. On that note, I was also curious if you've had any, like when was your latest MRIs?
Yeah, I mean, again, and I talk about this publicly. I don't go for regular MRIs.
Okay.
I don't see a neurologist on a regular basis whatsoever. I don't really know what the value of that is for me.
Yeah.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but
No, I would say it's got no value at all. That, why would you want an MRI? With something like MS, if you have symptoms, okay, then you have symptoms. You don't need an MRI to tell you you have symptoms. And if you don't have any, why would you want an MRI?
Yeah. Okay. That's exactly what I was figuring. I just wanted to check. It's like one of my the last MS specialist I was seeing. I say was because I haven't seen anyone regarding my MS for like 3-4 years now. But I haven't been taking pharmaceuticals for, let's see, since 2016, 4 days after I started running. And as I've coined the hashtag running is my MS treatment, just exercise and diet. And but anyway, as my last MS specialist said one time, you're not presenting any symptoms, so I don't really see any reason to have you, come in for an MRI. But I was just checking on that. And so, what was the process? How was MS Hope born?
yeah, I mean, MS Hope came out of I guess it was an arm of Direct MS, which was the charity my parents established in the 90s, I guess.
Yeah, that was established in '98. And then I think why the MS Hope came up, because I think Matt saw we weren't that media savvy, or really, we didn't really know what we were doing. And that's true. And and so he's much more into how to reach people and content, and because that's been his whole career. So he wisely set up MS Hope, which is a very effective way of communicating.
Yeah, and what we wanted to do when we created that is make it really user friendly.
Yeah.
So for the person who's just been diagnosed or wants to look at some different information, they can quickly get the information they need. So they can watch the videos, they can download the PDFs, which we would try to make as simple as possible. And now my mother wrote a cookbook, which you can get for free and we'll ship to you, or download the PDF. And so you get all it's a toolkit for you to start your journey, and then going from there, you get all the resources, and then there's also a link to the documentary which you can get freely through Amazon Prime. And so all the information we provide is free. And once you get that toolkit, then it's up to you if you're going to put it into practice.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Right on. Yeah, it's like, well, I know I can speak for myself. Like 2000, I don't know, it was a few years ago before I started running and quit taking MS treatment. Um, I had, like I said earlier, I had thought of, you know, well, should I deal with these side effects or, see how it goes without side effects? Because I looked at the different types of treatment and they were all like, all the treatments were pretty much had the same side effects. And it's like, well, do I, take those chances or take the chances of going on nothing? And so ultimately there it was like, okay, this is, my disease. I have to be accountable. It's my responsibility to seek treatment. So I'm going to go this route and, do my thing with the exercise and diet and just treat it naturally. And yeah, it's like, I've never felt better in my life. I still have, the vertigo and a bit of the muscle, a bit of the spasticity, the cramping in my legs. But I run, a half marathon just for the fun of it. And it's
Great.
like yesterday I ended up running almost 15 miles just because.
Why not?
Yeah, it's like I can, so let's go for it.
I agree.
Well, actually, I figured it's July 4th, 7/4, so I'm going to run a total of 7.4 miles. I got out there a little ways and figured, I'm just going to, why turn around in the middle of nowhere? I'm just going to go until I hit 7.4 miles and turn around, which is what I did.
Awesome.
And, it's like, sure, I tripped and fell at one point because my foot dropped and, ended up walking quite a ways, but I was still moving the whole time. And, it just feels great just to be out there moving. But at any rate, I wanted to get back and, Ashton, I was looking on your profile on Facebook and also on the other stuff about the movie, and it said that you're a researcher for the Geological Survey of Canada.
I'm retired now.
Okay, yeah, retired. And so I was just curious, how did you go like almost full time into researching multiple sclerosis?
No, I wouldn't say full time, but I maybe half time.
Yeah, just did it in, pretty much all your
Just
free time.
when the opportunities presented themselves.
Yeah.
You see, as a geologist, I'm basically a historical scientist. Okay, there's two very different types of scientists. There's historical scientists and there's experimental scientists. And if you want to find out to understand the cause of something like MS, you need a historical scientist because it's a thing that happens in the past. And you have to understand all the things that would have happened in the past that would create MS. Unfortunately, the vast majority of medical scientists are experimental scientists, and they have no idea really how to get solving problems like the cause of a disease because they don't understand how to practice historical science.
Yeah. Right on. I know I've looked at the cause list for multiple sclerosis, and it does list the 4 or 5 different things that go into it: genetics and environment and infections and shoot, I forget the other ones, but
Yeah, no, there's foods are a big one.
yeah, foods and nutrition.
And they're finally starting to after all these years, they're starting to talk about that finally. And the one thing that really changed them over was they really finally understood that gut bacteria play a huge role in your health. And once you understand that, you can understand, well, the gut bacteria are affected hugely by what you eat and how you exercise. Exercise is a big factor on your microbiome.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm definitely a big advocate of exercise. My after I suffered a traumatic brain injury after falling out of a tree 40 feet and was in a coma for a couple months when I was 11. Uh, and I was in hardcore physical therapy, like 2 or 3 times, sometimes 4 times a week, while going to school and all that. Afterwards, for a couple of years, my dad was always, pressing on me about, hey, you got to get out there and ride your bike if you can. You got to get out there and
Good.
go for a walk. Let's do some push-ups here in the living room. Always just exercise, part of my therapy. And that got me moving again. And here I am running a marathon just for the fun of it. Uh, but and I'm running every day. Uh, but it's just like movement and diet are definitely a big thing for me. And so that's why I've latched on to MS Hope and the Best Bet diet. And, it sparked, I saw that on there about going no gluten. And so I'm, starting to do that. And I'm wondering if you could explain the no gluten thing. Why is that?
Well, because it's a food that causes your gut wall to become very leaky. And that's a big part of the MS, what's going on in your body to cause MS. That you get the various proteins, if they get through the gut wall and they meet the immune system, then that's what sparks the immune system to go attack your myelin. And once your myelin gets lost, then you start to get more and more symptoms. So it's really important to have a very solid gut wall, that you don't want these things going through the gut wall. And so you've got to eat foods that make sure your gut wall is solid, and you don't want to eat foods that make your gut wall open up. So, and that's established beyond a doubt that the gluten causes a porous gut wall.
Oh, okay, cool. Thank you very much for that explanation. I've wondered for years, why everyone or why a lot of people are touting the gluten-free diet and going gluten-free and all that. But yeah, that makes a lot of sense there, and gives me more reason to go gluten-free.
I strongly suggest you do.
Yeah, and yeah, it's like I'm already a big proponent of the fruits and veggies, and taking in a lot more water. Uh, I already don't drink alcohol or do drugs, so and I quit smoking cigarettes years ago. But anyway, and I'm, you know, it's like I eat a lot of granola, and as a matter of fact, last night or yesterday when I stopped by Whole Foods Market here in University Place, uh, I made sure and got the gluten-free granola since I was thinking about that, MS Hope and going gluten-free. So let's see here. Oh, a couple questions about. Yeah. So far, I heard a few years ago about a study coming out of Canada uh, about the aspartame being bad for people with multiple sclerosis and it kicking up the symptoms of the disease. And I was wondering if you guys had heard anything about that.
Well, that's, I think, pretty well established now. Once again, the aspartame really badly affects your gut bacteria. Can you imagine the gut bacteria all of a sudden see this stuff? Totally manufactured crap. and it just kills the good guys and promotes the bad guys. Well, that's the good prescription to make sure your MS keeps going hard.
Hmm.
You've got to get that gut bacteria in the best possible way, and something like even pure sugar is bad because they just are not prepared for that. So you can avoid that. But the aspartame is worse than the sugar.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Well, I actually, once I heard this a few years ago, uh, I quit putting sweet and low in my coffee. I didn't drink any more diet pop, since that has aspartame in it, and just stay away from aspartame.
Yeah, pop is just horrible stuff.
Yeah.
Nobody with MS should even doesn't want to take any pop ever.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I quit drinking pop short time after I quit drinking the diet pop. Just,
Wise man.
Mhm.
yeah, just because of the high sugar content in it, and I'm trying to watch that these days.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. And another question about the diet here. I'm just wondering. Seems like I saw on the Best Bet diet that soy is bad for MS.
Well, that's all of the legumes have problems. They have these proteins in them that once again they help to open up the gut wall. They're called lectins, and this is why you would want to avoid the legumes, because once again they are a problem for the integrity of the gut wall. And I cannot express stronger that the stronger your gut wall is, the better you're going to do. So that's why you want to avoid soy. And there are, as described in the cookbook, there are good substitutes for soy out there, and which are fine.
Yeah. Okay. How about I had this question at work the other day or this question popped up in my head at work the other day. I work at the Trapper's Sushi here in Bonnie Lake, Washington, and the thought entered my head about soy sauce. Okay, so say don't use soy sauce. Would it be okay to use the gluten-free soy sauce?
No, because the soy is what you want to avoid.
Okay.
And so, yeah.
Okay.
But there are substitutes that are, cool, that are fine.
Yeah.
You can find them at the health food stores. If you're not sure, just ask the staff there, and they will tell you all about them.
Okay. And while we're on the topic of, or while my head's on the topic of sushi, I saw in the Best Bet diet no grains. So does that mean rice is out?
Well, we don't say no grains. We say no gluten grains, and we say the other grains in moderation.
Oh, okay.
I think that's there, and we say rice is probably the best of the grains. If you are going to have grain products, maybe rice is the best.
Okay, so sushi, no ginger since that has aspartame in it, and no soy sauce.
Yeah, but you got ginger. It's great for you.
Yeah. Well, actually ginger is, but the pickled ginger that they have at the restaurant. I looked on the ingredient list for the pickled ginger, and it does have aspartame in it. I got curious.
Really? Oh my
I
God!
didn't know that.
I got curious and read the ingredients because the pickled ginger in the restaurant, when it's served, it's pink. And I got to thinking about that. What makes it pink? So I looked at the ingredients and there's aspartame in it.
Wow.
But, so I quit using that. And I don't use the wasabi because, except in very limited amounts
Yeah,
because
that would probably be also hard in your gut.
yeah, and that's why it's because it's hard on my gut. Uh, okay, and
Mhm. And there's
let's
gluten in
see,
it too.
Is there? Okay,
Yeah.
that I didn't know.
That can be.
gluten in what?
The wasabi.
Oh, wow, I never
I
thought
didn't
about
know
that.
that. That's
Huh.
news to me.
I guess I better do more research. um, yeah, and so another question I had was this just popped in my head about the CCSVI, and I was just wondering if you could explain that to us.
Yeah, you go for it.
No, you good. Well,
Yeah.
I think it's pretty well established that CCSVI means that you don't have good flow from your brain. So part of your veins are sort of either plugged or somehow the drainage is not getting through, mainly through your jugulars. And that causes the blood to go back up, and that causes problems for the blood-brain barrier. And when you have problems for the blood-brain barrier, that allows the immune system into the brain, and that's when you have the problems. So it's mainly causes a problem for the blood-brain barrier, which you don't want to have. So the idea is to be able to restore the good blood flow from the brain. Now, from the science, there's no doubt people with MS often have this. Like that's beyond any scientific question. People with MS are very prone to having sort of impaired blood flow from the brain. The problem is they still haven't developed any technique that will resolve this problem for most people. For some people, they're able to resolve it and it stays resolved. And many people have had some very impressive results of improvement. Unfortunately, I would say almost the majority of people they do the angioplasty and then within 6 months or even under that, the blockages return. So we basically have not got a really effective method to keep the blood flowing for most people. So that's where we are right now. And we're sort of hoping that they will develop a better sort of procedure to restore the good blood flow. And if they do that, I think you'll see some remarkable results.
Huh. Okay, well, thank you very much for explaining that. I saw it in the movie and had heard about it, read up on it a bit, I guess, and saw something about it online. And, but I just put two and two together, and I always wondered why, or anyway, that makes a connection between, I was curious why my doctor sent me to, my regular doctor sent me to the cardiologist and had an MRI of my neck done to check the blood flow to my brain. But now it makes perfect sense why.
Well, that was good of him to do that.
Yeah, it was one of the multitude of tests he had done, trying to pinpoint why I was having this vertigo and the fatigue and the spasticity, come on all of a sudden after the car accident. But a few months later, when I was able to get in to see a neurologist, he said, yeah, I'm 95% sure you got it. So I went and had a second opinion. They said, yep, you got it. After, like I said, multitude of testing, it came down to where, yeah, you have MS. And, nothing else we can do to explain it. But I was also curious, now you said your mom had written a cookbook, and I was just curious. Well, I saw in the movie your mom's a nurse, right?
Mhm.
Okay, and I was wondering, like, so this just became a total family affair.
Well, yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
You know, when your child gets diagnosed with a serious disease, I think most parents do anything and everything they're able to make sure their child gets better. That's a normal response, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think mom really wanted to get it to the world.
Right
Yeah,
on.
that was her idea. You know, we've got to tell other people. And I was saying, well, okay.
Yeah.
Here we are.
That's that was part of my reasoning for writing my autobiography a few years ago and getting my story out there,
Yeah,
both about my traumatic brain injury and recovery from that, and now living with multiple sclerosis and, living with this. Um, just getting my story out there, maybe helping other is to, inspire, motivate, and help other people, you know, that may be like, that may be taken in by the, like I was in the beginning, taken in by the list of that god awful list of the negative symptoms that are potential, but I was seeing as, you know, sort of, oh, I can look forward to all this. Oh boy, what a deal. And,
Well,
it's just,
and that's why we're trying to get our information to people as hard as we can who are newly diagnosed. There's obviously a lot of fear in what can happen with this disease, and I think that the more information someone can get right off the beginning and see successful stories, the more hope we can bring, and those people can also start sharing their journeys.
right on. Yeah. And that was that's one thought process I've had with my, with this podcast is, bringing you on, and, I can bring other people on, share their stories regarding multiple sclerosis, and, you know, how they've had, how they've had successes, or how they've, their journey has been, to share with others, and enlighten others on, that, hey, you don't have to, you know, look at this list of potential symptoms and see them as, oh, that's where I'm headed. Because I know for myself at first, I was, I saw the list of, symptoms like, losing all your abilities pretty much, and, ending up in a wheelchair and losing all this, losing all that. And it's like, I decided not to follow that, and here I am. And just like in your case, there you are, and so, okay, that would be sort of a silly question, but so you were only on pharmaceuticals, or that one round of steroids, and so you were never, like, quote unquote properly diagnosed as being in one of the stages of MS, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, that's so far as I could tell, I was at the relapse remitting stage, the very beginning stages of it. So, and that's gone into remission. I haven't had a bad flare up of my MS since I started running, and watching my diet more carefully. And yeah, another question I had was about your live talks. I was just wondering if you're still doing those, and if you have any planned.
Well, right now we don't have anything live booked. But we have had some pretty good success learning how to do these types of things on Zoom and reach fairly significant audiences through the internet, which has been very effective recently. And I think that's kind of where we're putting our focus. But I don't think that we're close to.
Well, I think the odd time, if there's an opportunity to go somewhere or do something and to give a presentation, we'd have no problem with that. But, it's just we have to evaluate each opportunity as it comes up. But
Yeah.
there's no doubt between the internet and things like this, you reach far and far more people. It's far more effective in terms of your time and your efforts.
Yeah, yeah, it is definitely. I've found that to be very true. Uh, um, another issue with that, I guess, is this quarantine, the COVID thing going on right now. No real big public gatherings going on, but yeah, I was just it is definitely very beneficial doing it this way, and like what webcasts, webinars, and so forth. Putting the word out there, getting a few people interested, and they put the word out, and before you know it,
Yep. Yep.
you got a live room going on the internet of hundreds of people or thousands even. But yeah, and it's like I've learned that, and I've learned that since meeting Gary Vee and being on a couple of his YouTube videos, and my followers have, oh my gosh, I think I only had a minimal amount of followers, and now getting out there, following social media gurus like Gary Vee and other guys, it's like I have my followers have blown up from where they were. I still don't have many followers, but oh well. I see it as a lot because it's not where I was. Um, but yeah, just and having the internet at our disposal and being able to do these live calls and put the information out there on the internet, you definitely can reach a lot more people, which makes it so much better. Um, yeah, and that's, let's see, Boomer. Okay, and yeah, so I was just wondering if you could tell us about the different website addresses and so forth, ways people can contact you, view your information.
Yeah, so I mean the one that just went live today, actually, a brand new version is the mshope.com, and again, that's the very basic website we have, mshope.com. It's got the videos, the PDF, the free cookbook, the free documentary, and if you want to do a much deeper dive, if you want to get into the science and why those strategies are important, that would be direct-ms.org. So direct-ms.org. And that's also, as well, that's the charity. So if people want to make a donation to just to support that charity and the research that they do and the charitable activities, like creating the cookbook, like getting MS Hope up, these types of things, you can go there as well.
Okay, right on. Yeah, I made sure to write both those down. I had the MS Hope, but yeah, thank you for the Direct MS website. Um, yeah, and it's like I found you on or I had heard about you and then found you on Facebook. And now we've connected on or I follow you on Instagram also, and that just blew my mind last night. I was looking on or I was about to watch one of my usual shows on Amazon Prime, and I that just came to mind about your movie, and so I'm like, oh hey, maybe look that up, see if that's on here, and it was. Bonus.
Yeah.
So yeah, uh, yeah, I'm just excited just to be able to do this and talk to you guys and actually help get this information out there to people who may need it. Uh, which I know is the purpose of MS Hope and these other the other website, and getting the movie and getting your experience and information out there. To help other people with multiple sclerosis. Let's see if I do something. Hey, Christian, did I do something over here? Oh, okay, there we go. I pressed a wrong button and thought I had screwed up the call.
Nope.
Okay,
We're good still.
we're back. um, okay, so yeah, I guess that's about everything I had written down. And I'm just wondering, Matt, if you could, well, for both of you, if you guys could tell us where, sort of, where do you guys hope, where do you guys hope the, well, MS hope, but where do you guys hope that the MS world will, will be, and what direction it will go in the future?
Well, it's a strange world and always has been. There's the medical pharmaceutical complex, which basically controls most people with MS, and they sell drugs. That's their job, and their drugs have some value in some cases. And then there's the more sort of exercise and nutrition side. They very rarely ever talk about that because that's almost a competition with their drugs. So there's basically two worlds now. And it's important that anybody diagnosed with MS has access to both worlds. I think you should hear all about the drugs. I think, but on the other side, you should also hear about the value of exercise, the value of nutrition in just the same way. And the sad thing is, there's no one-stop shop for both. You have to go to two shops. And it's kind of sad because there's a lot of people who only went to the medical pharmaceutical shop and they're not doing very well now because, that stuff, there's a long story that many people took the drugs and still had major problems. They still progress. There isn't much hard science to say that drugs do a major job on progression. They may slow progression somewhat, but there's no hard science to say they do. So, you got to do both. If you want to do drug only, you could be in big trouble. If you want to do a drug and you want to do the exercise and diet, fine.
Yeah, that actually that's where I was. I was there toward the end. I was doing the exercise diet or exercise nutrition diet,
Yeah.
and also I was on an MS treatment, and actually that the last one, well, I was on one MS treatment for the first 6 years, an injectable, and that was real bad side effects. And then I was on one for 3 years, which I might still be on it, but I figured on anyway, I'll get to that in a second. But I didn't have any, I seemed to have no side effects whatsoever from the second MS treatment, which was one of the new oral medications, but then ran out. And after 3 months without it, I'm like, okay, well, I'm feeling better than ever have in my life now that I'm running and eating right and not taking treatment. So I'm just going to keep on going. So yeah, I've never gotten back on treatment. And actually that was 2016. But yeah, it's like, I feel so much, I just feel so much more alive. It's like I was on a podcast with a naturopath, my doctor here in Tacoma, and here a while back, and like I was telling her about it, to relate in terms she might be able to, or she would better be able to understand maybe, is that the easiest way I have to explain it now that I'm treating my MS naturally is that is it's like, and especially now that I've started running all the time, keeping things moving. It's like, so far, and it's in terms of Eastern medicine, my chi is at an optimal level. I just feel more alive than ever.
Well, it just comes down. If you do the exercise and the nutrition, you're basically treating the causal factors. If you take a drug, you're basically treating a symptom. Well, guess which is more effective?
Yeah, definitely treating the cause rather than the symptoms. You go for the cause, and there goes all your symptoms too.
Yeah, I mean, that's how you beat something. You got to go after the cause.
Yeah. All right. Well, that about wraps up my questions. Well, actually, my questions I had written down anyway. Those were done long ago. Um, but I'm just amazed that we were able to connect like this on a call, a live call, and to help get this information out there to people, that you can there are alternatives and other options.
Yeah, and thank you for doing this. I'm sure this video will find somebody.
This will help other people, and that's all we care about, is trying to get the word out so that people can make an informed choice.
Yeah. And just to let you guys know, this is a Zoom call, but it's on my Facebook Live right now, and so it will be on my timeline, and it will also be on. I will upload it to my YouTube later on today. So I download it from Facebook Live, upload it to there, and so reach a few more people. I don't have many followers, but I have a few, or subscribers, but I have a few on there. And I'll put tags on there and everything, so help get it out that way. And all right, well, I guess that about wraps it up. I was just wondering if you guys have any last words.
I'm good, but Matt?
That's it. I mean, my final word is, for anyone watching this, is don't wait. Get on it now. Start learning as much as you possibly can and put it into action.
Hear, hear.
Yeah. That's exactly, what I did to begin with. When the idea came up from that first neurologist saying, that he was 95% sure I have MS, and during those 3 months until I got in for the second appointment, or second opinion appointment with a different with the MS specialist, during those 3 months I did all my research on MS, finding out all about the disease, all the treatments, different ways I could go, whatever. And I just did my own personal research rather than just going into a doctor who would then say, okay, this is what you got, this is what you need to do, this is what you need to take these drugs. I just did my research to find out what I needed to do for myself,
right,
to live with this and be responsible and accountable for it. Which I feel is very important for everyone, because this is our disease. It isn't the doctor's disease at all. It's ours. They're just there to help treat, and we'll diagnose and treat. But at any rate, that's about all I got. And as I'm looking at the clock trying to see, but it looks like time's about up. And so
Thank you.
Thank
you very much for doing this.
Thank you both very much. And I know, Matt, you said you do this, and I just want to thank you very much for coming on, Ashton. And it's been a pleasure, being able to be on this live call and talk with you both.
Okay, well, have a good day.
All right, you too. Take care.
Thanks.
Where does it go off? There.